What Were They Thinking is brought to you by HostGator. HostGator is a leading provider of shared, reseller, VPS, and dedicated hosting solutions. Award-winning support is available 24/7, 365 days a year via phone, email, and live chat. Discover why over 9 million websites trust HostGator. Use the coupon code SCHLOCK for 25% off your first purchase. That's SCHLOCK, SCHLOCK, for 25% off your first purchase.
What Were They Thinking is brought to you today by GameItAll.com. Whether it's video game news, the latest in music, or movie reviews, GameItAll.com is your one-stop shop for all nerdy talk.
Oh man, all these wrestling news sites are terrible.
What's the matter, young lad?
Mother Superior! No, don't hit me! I can't find a good wrestling news site.
A good wrestling news site? What's so good about a good wrestling news site anyway?
Well, I just need a place where I can get all the backstage news and rumors and scoop.
All right.
Don't hit me. I left the orphanage a while ago.
All right, listen, Billy's younger brother. I'm not going to hit you this time.
Oh, thank you.
But I will tell you about a great wrestling news site.
Okay. It's not terrible like the last one, right?
It's not terrible like the last one. It's called WrestlingNewsWorld.com. You can get all the latest wrestling news, spoilers, results, all the news from all over the wrestling world.
That sounds great.
No, yes, but you know what?
What?
It's not going to sound great if you keep up with that mouth of yours.
Oh, okay. Yeah, again, I left the orphanage a while ago. If you don't leave, I'm gonna tell my parents.
I have legal precedent over 37 states. Get back here!
Oh! Stop hitting me! Ow!
WrestlingNewsWorld.com.
Oh, sorry. I was just really enjoying the theme song.
Don't let me interrupt you. Keep going.
It's
I want you to
mailbag.
Yep.
It's the theme song. It's the mailbag episode. For what were they thinking? Mailbag. A mailbag. A mailbag.
It has been a long time since we've answered the mailbag, guys.
It has been. Post Officer Tim was quite pleased to see us.
Oh, he had a smile on his face as long as the wow,
ear to ear.
I was trying to say as wide as the Nile River, but the Nile River's long, not wide. Yeah. You get it. Mm-hmm. Post Officer Tim.
Starting off on a great note here.
Tim.
Yep.
Check.
Tim.
1, 2. Is this on? Hot mic. So we started doing something new here at What Were They Thinking? We've
cocaine.
What? Cocaine.
Sorry.
No. That was just between you and I.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's not podcast official.
We shouldn't put that. No, okay.
I'll totally cut that out later.
Good.
Yeah. So I wouldn't want anyone to know that I do cocaine. What? No, we've so what I've done is after we've announced the movie that we're gonna do, I put up a little Twitter poll to see what people think of that movie. So we're gonna be a little behind with these because obviously just based on the way in which we record our episodes. So if you don't like it, suck it.
Tough rocks, yeah. And there we got our wrestling reference out again.
There we go. So I put up a poll about My Bloody Valentine, which was not the last movie, but the movie before that we covered a few weeks ago. And basically I said, who's seen the film? Is it a pass? Is it a fail? Somewhere in the middle. Please vote and leave a brief comment below if you've seen the film. So I'll give you the results first. So fail won, but it was very tight. It was very, very close. Fail won with 36% of the vote.
Okay.
50-50 got 32%. And pass 32%.
Oh, that's a tight race.
It was pretty split down the middle. So here's some of the comments we got just about the movie, about having seen the movie. I'll save the best one for last. At WL Imbalance, it's a work-life imbalance podcast. The title makes me laugh. Jensen Ackles was not enough to make me like that movie. The original is just as good or better in the B horror movie category. At PPCLTR Thoughts, that's Pop Culture Thoughts, they said, it's pretty solid, but maybe a little unremarkable. I've seen it twice, and I remember enjoying it both times, but I don't remember much about it, so that.
You're getting at it. It's forgettable.
Yeah, this seems to be the theme here. So, at Z Kitty Podcast, the Zombie Kitty Podcast, she actually hasn't seen the movie. She just said, I've always been interested in seeing this one for some reason, probably because it looks like stupid fun. I will say yes, you should see it. It is stupid fun. Our good friend over at EILF Movies, this is Steve commenting. Mm-hmm. He said, it's been a while since I watched it, but I remember it being okay for the 3D horror flick that it sets out to be. So yeah, #fly Eagles fly. This is clearly a long time ago when I put this poll up.
Either, like, was it a hot take? Like, do you think we were going to be affected? Not a Patriots fan.
No.
Yes, I agree with you on that one, Steve.
HVH at HVH Podcast, Brent from the Home Video Hustle, basically says he likes the original way more, but as a dumb slasher movie, this one's fine. At Filmmakers Pod, it's the Filmmakers Podcast, says it was one of the first commercial new wave 3D films. The novelty was quite unique at the time, so as cheesy and silly as it was, I remember I thoroughly enjoyed it. And our last comment here, I got a kick out of, this is from at False Starts Pod, so the False Starts Podcast, Lewis in particular. He says, I took my girlfriend to see this movie as one of our first dates. She's now my wife. I owe it all to My Bloody Valentine 3D for being so generic and forgettable that she forgot the date almost instantly and I got another shot. It's not a great flick.
I was going to say, you take a girl to a 3D horror movie for your first date and she gives you a second date, put a ring on that, man. Holy smokes.
Well, that's what happened, man. She is now his wife. Congratulations, Lewis. I'm glad Jensen Ackles and Kerr Smith and Jamie King could bring you all so close together. I also neglected to mention on that episode, we've now done 2 movies with that actress, that Jamie King.
Okay.
And I think the other movie was one of your favorites, Pearl Harbor.
Ugh.
So, why don't you open up that mailbag?
Okay. All right. Zip.
We only use the best sound effects on this show.
Our first question comes from the Soup Complex, and that's not the building where they can all the Campbell's and Heinz soups. It's actually the Superiority Complex podcast.
That's right.
Who was the better director in his prime? I'm guessing they're talking about Spielberg or Scorsese.
I think so, yeah.
Because they follow up with, what Spielberg movie would you do a remake of with Martin Scorsese directing, and vice versa?
Oh boy. Okay, better director in his prime. That is a tough one. Because you know what? And it's gonna be controversial no matter which way I go, but I'm gonna say Scorsese just because I can think of at least a couple of Spielberg movies that are not great. Like 1941 is obviously a big misstep, and like AI was okay.
But we're talking about it in their prime. But
yeah, that's true.
I also feel that it makes it hard to decide because they're two very different animals when it comes to. I mean, you think of a Spielberg movie, you don't think of, gritty crime and streets like you do with Martin Scorsese.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I mean, as I guess as far as I guess.
It's tough, right?
It's really tough because they're so different.
Influence-wise on me, especially as a young child, I would say Spielberg. The adult in me is leaning more towards Scorsese.
So we're in a real mini-wheats type conversation here.
Right. Oh, man. You know what? I don't know. Like, do you have an answer?
I'm gonna say Spielberg.
Yeah.
Just because of the stuff that he did in his prime, it impacted me and still does more so than Scorsese stuff. Don't get me wrong, Scorsese's great,
Yes.
but I've seen more out of the Spielberg catalog repeatedly than I have out of the Scorsese catalog repeatedly.
You know, I think I'm on board with you. I think I'm going to go with Spielberg, but just let it be known, superiority complex. This was not an easy choice, but I think
not at all. No,
you can't really give it to. You can't really not give it to the person who did Jaws, E.T., Close Encounters, Indiana Jones. Like that's a crazy lineup for, like, especially when we're talking.
That's the childhood right there.
Yeah, we're talking peak Spielberg, right?
Yeah.
Like, wait, okay. Oh no, he didn't direct the Goonies. He just produced it, right? I think it was like Joe.
Either way,
Dante
he had
or
a hand in
something.
it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, same thing with Gremlins.
Yeah, producer on it, but it's still like a pretty big influence. The thing about Spielberg is a lot of times when people are producers, they don't. It just means they kind of sign their name to the dotted line. Apparently, he does a lot more, and it's not to say that he swings his ego around or anything, but he just likes to have pretty big say in the movies. He takes over, except for Transformers, I guess.
Ugh.
Because nobody was going to save that bullshit. Now, the second part of that is the remake, who directing each other's movie, right?
Yeah.
I think this one actually, I just thought about that when you said it. I think Martin Scorsese directing Munich would have worked.
Yes.
The other way around, I'll come back to that. What do you think? What do you think of the?
I was gonna say Scorsese maybe directing Schindler's List.
Yeah,
would have been interesting.
Yeah, that would.
And as far as Spielberg directing Scorsese, Raging Bull.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
So so I said Scorsese directing Munich. So Spielberg directing. Oh boy. Maybe shit. What's that called? Cape Fear. I'll go with Cape Fear.
Yeah.
I think because it's a Scorsese movie, but it's not like it's not his typical like gangster type film. I think he could do it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. What do we got next here? We got from Brent over at the HVH podcast, Home Video Hustle. He has a question for each of us individually. I think you could probably do the one for me too, though.
Yes.
Nathan, if you were given the job of making a new Gamera film, so basically, if your life became the greatest thing ever that ever existed,
if I was living the dream, literally living the dream,
yes, what would be the plot?
Well, I would definitely have. I would go with in a direction more like Gamera versus Baragon. I would, as much as he gets played out as friend of all children, I would probably minimize the inclusion of children in the movie. I would actually make it more about adults, so it would definitely have a more of a Godzilla type feel to it. New monster, obviously. I'm thinking because he's a turtle, him taking on, say, maybe like a giant iguana or Komodo dragon would be good.
Ooh.
Because then you can have you can have it be more like the Baragon or even Jiger movies. Obviously he would be saving the world, because that's, Gamera got to do what a Gamera got to do. I feel that I would probably explore more of the origins of Gamera, because a lot of times in all the movies we only ever get just a glimpse of like, oh, he was created by the people of the Mu continent to help protect them, but they were too late in saving their civilization. So I would probably want to dive a little more deeper into the how he was created, exactly why he was created, and that research in the movie would help pay off for him to defeat the new monster, which would be like a giant Komodo dragon or an iguana.
Do you have this thing written?
No.
Nathan's got this movie ready to go. Okay. So that answers that. So the invasion angle. Did I read it? Did I read that question, or did I?
If you could go, Brendan, if you could go back in time,
I didn't remember if I read them both or not.
You didn't.
Okay.
How would you have booked the invasion angle in the WWE?
That is gonna be a long answer. So I will shorten it somewhat by saying this: if you could not get the contracts, okay, this is gonna be some wrestling talk, so get ready. But if you could not get the contracts, because they weren't able to get contracts for Ric Flair, Sting, Goldberg, Scott Steiner even, for like a long time, right? It was like a year after.
They could. They just wouldn't pony up the dough.
It was a lot of dough, though, to be fair. Like, to buy out their AOL contracts.
I don't get them all.
Yeah.
But take the risk, pony up the dough, get the key players.
I would have said, get Ric Flair. At the very least, get Ric Flair. Don't, on the big night of the big Raw thing where, Shane McMahon was at WCW, that's kind of cool and everything. I'm okay with Shane being there. But instead of him saying, I bought WCW, he'd be like, look who actually bought WCW. Somehow, it's WWE, they can work their way around it.
They would write it, yeah.
Yeah, and instead of Shane McMahon, it's Ric Flair. And then you have Ric Flair versus Vince McMahon as WWE versus WCW. And then, yes, if you're going to do the invasion angle, you got to pony up the money. You got to bring in Scott Steiner. Booker T was a good get. I will give them that. Goldberg, you got to get the big names. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Because, then you end up with matches that's like Bradshaw versus Sean O'Hare. No one gives a fuck about that.
I would have said pony up the dough for at least the 3 original members of the NWO.
Oh yeah, and if you're not gonna get Hogan, at least get Nash and Hall.
Yes.
Or also don't have them lose every week.
Yeah.
Because they were doing this thing where it was this was before. Again, this is going to be some in-depth wrestling shit, so buckle your seatbelts. But this was before WWE got really into the 50-50 booking stuff. Basically, for those of you who don't know what that is, basically it means like someone would get the win, and then the next week the other person gets the win, and then at the pay-per-view, whoever gets the win in the rubber match. That is
always best 2 out of 3. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically how it's done now. Aggressively annoying, annoyingly so. But back then it wasn't such a big deal. But it wasn't such a big thing. But they kind of did it during the invasion. They'd have WWF won 5 matches tonight, and the WCW won 5 matches tonight. Oh, it's a tight race. I would have had WCW obliterate them from the beginning. Just crush them. But
especially if they wanted to because they put it out to be like Shane versus Vince.
And we've seen that.
And if they want, but I mean, not just like the match, but I mean, they put it out to be as far as the whole WCW versus the WWF thing. Yeah. So they should have had, Shane being the upstart and running roughshod all over with the guys, because he's the young, smarter, ready for battle, kid who wants his slice. It's his time, and he wants his time in the spotlight. Running, rough over all of his dad's company.
I still think just having Shane there, just Shane, makes it too much like WWF versus WWF. That's why that's why I said I think you need Ric Flair or like Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, I don't think that would have happened at that time.
No, but I mean, I
get what you're saying though. It should have been somebody not McMahon versus McMahon.
Oh shit! Ted Turner comes in.
Hey, Vance.
Jane Fonda owns ECW. Well, yeah, that's basically my answer. Like, to go through it all would take a long time, but clearly, if they had built it up properly with the right people, and, you know, the right amount of time, they wouldn't have had to end it at fucking Survivor Series of that year.
Yeah, and the key in this situation is having the key players for the situation.
Also, I want to say, I like the way it ended. I despite the fact that they were all WWF guys basically on both teams, that was another thing too. The defections got annoying.
Yeah.
You don't defect everyone to WCW or WWF or whatever. And then it's just like all WWF guys. Like they were like, oh my god, the Dudley Boys versus the Hardy Boys. It's interpromotional. And I'm like, we saw that match 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And they were all working for the same company. So don't give me that bullshit.
Yep.
Like Edge versus Test to unite the United States and Intercontinental titles. What? Neither man has worked for WCW. I mean, I will admit they kind of made it interesting for a little bit when they added ECW. Like at first, it was kind of a cool idea, and they had Paul Heyman. They did have to add Stephanie McMahon though, which was unnecessary. But and you know what? Even just to wrap this up, I will actually give her credit overall. She has improved leaps and bounds on the microphone as a personality.
For the most part,
I still get annoyed by her. I still find it annoying that she takes credit for everything to do with women's wrestling, but I feel like her actual promos and to get stuff over or whatever, I feel like she's a lot better. She has a better handle on that now.
Yes.
Yeah, and she's actually not terrible in the ring, to be honest.
I haven't seen her like wrestling forever.
Well, she wrestled one of the Bellas at that SummerSlam. That wasn't that bad.
Oh, well, it couldn't have been that great because it's pretty forgettable. I don't remember watching it.
I mean, it was more of an angle than a match, but if you watch that match, she's carrying the thing. All right. Anyway, that's a lot of wrestling talk.
It is.
What do we got next?
Thanks, Brent. I really appreciate that. We don't get to do that. We always just get the little references.
That's right.
Nick and Vince.
Okay. I believe that's
at
like Nick and Vince's podcast, yeah.
Okay, at Nick and Vince asks, fave musical?
You know, I don't hate musicals, just as a general like thing. So I don't know. I really like Sweeney Todd. That was a pretty good musical.
South Park the movie.
You don't like musicals?
I don't. No. For the most part, just because they bother me. And it's a weird thing because if I was to go see a stage production of a musical, I would be enjoyed, or I would rather enjoy it rather. It would be enjoyed. I would be enjoyed too. But that's another thing altogether.
Hey, check out that guy in the crowd that's watching us.
He's super fantastic. I'm glad he came.
I'm enjoying him.
I'd enjoy it and have a great time because it's a stage setting. I'm used to singing on stage, singing and dancing and stuff like that. When it comes to movies, because I'm supposed to kind of check into the movie as being like a slice of something that's happening elsewhere in the world at that time, I find it so off-putting when people just burst into song in the movie, like in just transitioning out of a real life thing that they're doing into this overwrought song with choreography and lyrics and everything, and then they finish the song and they just go back like nothing happened. We didn't just randomly burst into like a 4.5 minute song and dance routine saying what we were going to say in the next couple of sentences, and then now we're just going to go back to eating some pizza.
So you have a hard time buying into the whole idea of like, I guess just the general nature of a musical. Of the idea of suddenly,
on film.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's that's why I say, well, that's why I'm saying South Park, because it's a musical. There are huge musical numbers, and the animation is made to be done look like choreographed dance routines. So it's easily one of my favorites. I did enjoy how they made light of the stuff I was talking about just a minute ago in the Muppets movie, the one with Jason Segel.
I
was
love
good.
the Muppets movie.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. So, I mean, if it's a situation like that where they're poking fun at the idea of musicals on film, I can kind of get behind it. But as a rule, like last summer, I had to see Beauty and the Beast at the drive-in because something else was playing that I wanted to see, and Beauty and the Beast was the first movie. I think it was Spider-Man was the second movie.
Right.
And so I sat through Beauty and the Beast, and I was just like, oh my God, shoot me in my taint. I do not want to see this movie.
So wait, do
South Park.
you have a just as hard of a time if is it easier for you if it's animated?
Not always.
Like I'll
sometimes
give you
though.
An example. Like were you could you sit through like Moana?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So if it's got, I feel like it's a little bit different if it's animated, because you're already looking at something that's not real, right? With the animation. Mm-hmm. So I think it's easier to accept that in that world.
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you haven't seen Moana, I recommend it because it's very good.
Okay.
All right, so what do we got next? So from the Besotted Geek Podcast, I believe this is from Stork, because I believe Peacock has a different Twitter account.
Yeah, it's at Mrs. Geek or something like that.
Yeah. And it's like Miss Peacock something or other.
I'm following her, honest to goodness, but...
Yeah, no, I think I am too, but I don't remember. I have a bad memory. Besotted Geek Pod says, what's a bad movie you think has a good enough concept but was just done poorly that could be remade into a good movie? Do you have one in mind? I have one in mind right now.
There's a lot, actually. I would probably say it's most of them are direct-to-video movies that I'm like, man, if this had some bank and someone decent, they could have made chicken salad out of this chicken shit.
Mm-hmm. By the way, guys, that is not a tip. Do not make chicken salad out of chicken shit. It does not work. I have tried it.
Salmonella for days. And E. coli as well.
Yep. Bright side, didn't have to go to work.
Well, there you go. That's good. Okay, so trash movie that could have been done. It's a hard choice because there's so many.
I can think of one that we've done.
You go first, then.
All right. Well, it's not a trash movie, but we actually did it on our podcast. I think Monkey Bone.
Yes.
Because that was a movie where we even said on the show, a great concept. There's some good ideas in there, kind of sprinkled around. But it had so much studio interference. The budget was ridiculously high, and they didn't know how to market it. And it had so many rewrites and everything that it just bogged the movie down. I think if someone were to do it, another visionary director, like maybe the girl that's doing the Wrinkle in Time movie, Ava DuVernay, I think she could do a good job with that and with less studio interference. I think that would be. I think they can make a good version of it. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Although without Brendan Fraser, it would make me very sad.
I would be super upset.
Also, have you seen how sad Brendan Fraser is?
No.
I looked at, I wanted to see where the hell he was, because we've talked about it before. He's basically disappeared, right?
Isn't he he's on a new show on FX this year, isn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, he's not nearly as prolific as he used to be.
No.
But every interview I found with him, like recent-ish, he looks very, very upset. And that
like
makes,
just depressed and distraught.
Yeah, well, apparently I heard that when he got divorced from his wife, she took like a lot of his money. And
that's too bad.
Yeah, so he looks sad. Brendan Fraser makes sad Brendan of
Brendan
this
Wall.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, my last name,
that.
it's out there.
Now that we've already said it on the podcast before.
Now
haven't
they
we?
can Google me.
Oh, good Lord, no.
Don't look for me on the Google Maps.
Okay, so now it's my turn.
Yep.
God, there's just so many that I don't want.
What about like Batman and Robin or something?
They would just, no, that's a total teardown.
Okay.
I mean, you'd be making an entirely different movie.
That's true.
Like completely. The only thing that they would have in common with the original is Batman and or Robin.
We can come back to it if you want.
No, actually, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with on a limb on this one, and I think they're already actually doing it, so hopefully it works out well. But a Swamp Thing remake.
Okay. I don't think I've ever seen Swamp
I was a
Thing.
big fan of the comics. The original it's good. It's a Wes Craven movie. It's a little hokey. The Return of the Swamp Thing, which is with Heather Locklear,
Which is coming soon. Is that what you said?
I have it on VHS. So
Oh boy.
I would definitely watch it for a podcast. But yes, I think with the resurgence of with comic book movies over the last almost decade now, I think it would be a good fit. I think the only problem, the only trepidation I would feel about it is that it is a DC property, so it wouldn't be done well.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
What is? Well, I don't want to go off a rant, but I'll just say fuck DC.
In film format.
The movies. Well, I'm not
Yeah.
like a comic book reader. I'm sure there's like, I mean, no. There's been good DC movies outside of DC Studios. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, because the Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy was great. Tim Burton's first two Batman movies I enjoyed, and the Superman movie with Christopher Reeve I liked. Even the second one, I even controversially I even liked Superman Returns.
Okay.
Boom. Yeah. Drop that one. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, just DC like films like the recent crop of them. Except for Wonder Woman.
Changing my I just thought of one that would be perfect to be remade with good money, and I think it would be an excellent movie, and folks wouldn't be like, oh my god, they just did that, because I find that's happening a lot. A movie that's been done like within the last like 10 or 15 years that they're remaking is like, we just got over the first one, we don't need you to The Abominable Dr. Phibes.
Okay.
It's a fantastic movie. Vincent Price is in the original. He plays a doctor who is distraught about the death of his wife, and he takes vengeance upon those who have wronged him.
Wait, but that's a bad movie that had a good concept?
It's a great concept. The movie, it's not so much that it's bad, it's just it's a product of its time. So the effects are kind of hokey, and the acting is not the best at some point. Not from Vincent Price, but from some of the other folks.
Yeah.
I can think of several Vincent Price movies that could be redone, and if they had other people in the movies who were good actors outside of Vincent Price, they'd be better.
But Nathan, I've been taught that all remakes are evil.
Nope.
And then when a remake happens, the original cries.
That can be true.
No,
I'll tell you that much.
I think I'm more teasing the people that were like, when the new Ghostbusters came out, they're like, my childhood is dead.
Oh my god! You know what? Considering that the deaths of so many childhoods came long before that movie came out.
Yeah, Ghostbusters 2.
Let's talk about Transformers, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. All these movies, guess what, guys and gals? You are not the target demographic. I hate to tell you this. These movies were not made for you. They were made for your kids.
Also, speaking of Ghostbusters, I enjoyed the remake a lot.
I did too.
It was very funny.
Yeah, my only gripe about that movie, my only gripe about that movie was that I felt that some of the lines felt shoehorned.
Fan service.
The story was no, not that. Okay. Like everybody in the cast are very good with improvisational comedy, riffing. So I feel that a lot of the lines and stuff that are in the movie were in there because Leslie Jones had a great thing to say, and so did Kate McKinnon, and so did Melissa McCarthy, and so did Kristen Wiig. So let's find a way to get them all kind of riffing, and then we'll keep throwing that in. Sometimes it was a little too much, but by and large, I really enjoyed the movie.
What's really
when
funny?
I saw it in theaters in 3D. So
yeah, it was great. It was a great use of 3D. I want to say too that it's funny because people like trash that movie and they're like, oh, nobody liked it. Critics actually liked it quite a bit. It did not
deserve the vitriol that it got.
No, I mean, if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, it's in the 70s. Like, it's not. The audience rating is low because people were like, girls, but
yeah.
That was so dumb when people. Anyway, let's see here. I think you're next.
Oh yes. Okay, so this one is from the Untidy Venus. So that would be Izzy from Everything I Learned from Movies.
Oh,
she is asking. Right, popped it twice. I've popped it twice.
Take that,
bacon.
Steve.
Take that, Steve. Bacon or Canadian bacon?
Bacon.
For breakfast, bacon. On pizza, Canadian bacon.
Oh yeah, I guess I'll agree with that.
And while I'm watching Canadian bacon.
Whoa! What if there was a movie called Bacon? Would you eat Canadian bacon?
I would eat Canadian bacon while watching it. Yes.
There you go, Izzy. Unpack that. Oh, we got another one from EILF Movies. Who were your celebrity crushes as a kid, teenager, and now?
Oh, it's easy.
Okay.
As a kid, Melissa Milano.
Ooh.
Alyssa Milano was, oh my goodness.
I was hoping you were going to say, as a kid, Alyssa Milano, teenager, Alyssa Milano, adult, Alyssa Milano.
there is some truth to that. But as a kid, Alyssa Milano. As a teenager, Alicia Silverstone. And goodness, now...
Nathan, who's your celebrity crush?
Chloe Grace, no.
What? Nope.
No, I would, unfortunately, well, I mean, not fortunately, I guess, but, it's something, it's obviously only ever going to be a crush in any situation whatsoever. Kate McKinnon, I think she is fantastic. She is. She's very beautiful and hilarious.
I see what you're saying with the one way thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Oh yeah, 100%. Wow, as a kid. Okay, that's harder for me. I can't even think as a kid. As an adult, I can tell you Emma Stone, 100%. As a teenager, man, I used to really be into Alicia Cuthbert. Especially when I saw The Girl Next Door.
Yes.
That shit. Damn. When I was a kid, I mean, what were the movies I was watching as a kid? But like The Lion King. I didn't really want to fuck cartoon animals.
Try to think of it like that transition period. Like just before teenager, but like after, like when you were like 8 or 9, so you're starting to like kind of notice girls and not think that they're gross and have cooties, but you're still not a teenager yet. That's where Alyssa Milano falls into my categories.
My answer is Mufasa. No. Fuck, man. Like, because a lot of movies, too, I know when we did our episode talking about movies we watched when we were way too young, a lot of those movies did not have very many big names in them. Because I could not tell you who was in Nightmare on Elm Street other than Robert Englund. Part 4.
Heather Langenkamp, Johnny Depp. Oh, sorry.
Part 4, yeah.
Tuesday Night.
Fuck. Yeah, she's cute. You know what? Fuck, it's a hard one, man. I don't know. I think maybe like. You know what? I saw Jumanji when I was pretty young, and I was pretty into Kirsten Dunst. So let's go with that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, because I would have been like, I think I would have been like 10 or 11 when that came out. So yeah, Kirsten Dunst. By the way, Kirsten Dunst still looks good today.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Also, can I tie Emma Stone with someone?
You mean physically or just like in this?
Not physically.
Okay.
I will add Zooey Deschanel to that.
Yes, she's delightful.
Mm-hmm. I guess I just like whimsical actresses. All right, what do we got? We got 2 more here. Go ahead.
This is from the Nerdy Bitches podcast at Nerdy Bitches Pod. Best way to break into Canada. You know, asking for a friend.
Just ask politely.
Yep.
Bring some
ask politely and fill out the paperwork. There's really no breaking required. We're pretty accepting people.
Yeah, we're yeah. I'm not gonna say anything. I almost said something. I'm not gonna say anything. America, Donald Trump. Yeah, just come in. Just come on over.
Hey.
We'll let you in.
Don't worry, there are places in Canada where the accent is definitely on the duh, but...
Oh, and don't get me wrong. There are places in Canada comparable to some areas that you may not like where you currently are. There are definitely not... Yes. Canada is definitely not 100% what you think it is.
It's not a utopia.
No. But there are certain areas that are quite safe and quite nice. At least, safe at least. We'll go with safe.
Safe-ish, you know.
I mean, I feel pretty safe where I am, for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, just ask politely. Okay. Last question. This is from @podcast_whatif. So, the What If podcast. Who is the best quirky actor in your opinion? They list examples like Malkovich, Christopher Walken, etc., etc.
I am 100% Christopher Walken, but I will say a close second would be Crispin Glover.
Oh, he is quirky, that's for sure.
To say the least.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really go... you know what? I'm going to have 2 as well, because you can't go against Walken. Like, everything... He's the same in every movie, and I love it. But,
yes.
If you want to have a second one in there... You know, I don't know if you'd call him quirky, but to me, he seems like sometimes he's kind of quirky. John Cusack...
Yeah, but he's like that. He's lovable quirky, not like that dude's friggin' weird quirky.
Oh, hell no. Wait a second. I know who my quirky actor is. It's someone who has somehow escaped our clutches up until this moment. Nicolas Cage. Boom.
There you go.
Nicolas Cage has not yet been featured on this podcast. We are 40 episodes deep.
That's weird.
Right?
Yeah.
Should keep this going.
Maybe
listener's choice is coming up.
Yeah. It might happen then.
I
don't actually celebrate with our 50th episode.
What's really funny is I don't see any Nicolas Cage movies in this list. So I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, that's mine. I think that wraps it up. Where can you find your old pal Montrose?
Oh, you can find him on Facebook at Montrose Monkington III Esquire and Friends. You can find him on Twitter at Montrose the Third. That's the number 3 RD, and also Montrose Monkington TV on YouTube. You'll check out some videos of him reviewing wrestling, and mostly wrestling these days, but I think with the nicer weather coming up, we're going to see if we can get the little fella out into the world and do some more sketches and interviews out in the wilds of Canada.
The wilds of Canada. Somewhere in northern Canada,
Yep.
as Magic in the Water said last week.
Maybe we'll meet Ogopogo or Orky or the Mishi or the Water Horse.
So that is that. You can also... Oh. No.
No, it's not that. That's right.
It's not time for plugging. It is time for
revealing.
Right.
Check this out, Brendan. I got this... I'm getting a doctor to look at it. I mean, can you see? I know it's a little revealing, but I don't think... It keeps flaking off, and then it comes back. I mean, what do you think? Oh, not that kind of revealing? Sorry.
Look, this is an audio podcast. So take a listen to what's coming up next. Here is the trailer.
It's called Backyard Wrestling. It's the hottest ticket in the country.
They're the toughest tag team on the backyard circuit.
Hey, how about a trunk match?
Trunks? Oh, we do trunks. Oh, yeah.
It's like you should be shot, but you're wrestling instead.
It's the toughest circuit there is.
Oh my god, that's real blood.
Yeah. Ain't it cool, lady?
She's the internet whiz kid.
He's a natural. I'm gonna make him an icon. The world's first cyber-created superstar.
Who's got what they want.
You talk about scoring with Chris? Yeah, it never happened.
They're all about to find out
It's SmackDown time!
that the only way from amateur to pro
Vince McMahon, Ted Turner, fight me.
is the hard way.
Maybe civilians shouldn't be doing this stuff.
Are you actually starting to care about me?
Love can be the fiercest battlefield of all.
But she doesn't care about you, okay?
Why don't you just email me, girls, and tell me who to choose? Cole the Outlaw or Lee the Mighty Ninja?
You know, I'm the one who started this.
You pick the guy, and I'm gonna have a big old date with him.
And all of a sudden, you get all the hype, you get all the fights, and you get Chris. You're the one who said that you guys were just friends.
We just became the world's first internet interactive soap opera.
You know what? Hey, don't walk up on me, all right? I'm the best, not you, and don't you forget it.
Now what?
We finished what we started.
Let's do it!
Next stop's Lompoc, guys.
What the hell's going on here? Everybody out of here, now!
Both of you, strip, now. I love wrestlers.
Check this out, Christy.
With any luck, you both are going to be invited to the Backyard Championships.
When they get to the junkyard, it's dog eat dog. And may the best dog win. Backyard Dogs. Starring Walter Emmanuel Jones, Bree Turner. Introducing Scott Hamm as Cole. And featuring Japanese wrestling sensation Hayabusa, premier star of the FMW. Backyard Dogs, written and directed by Robert Boris. Today's mighty gladiators are right in your own backyard.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Oh, man.
I am not looking forward to watching this. Nathan, why don't you tell us what we're doing?
We're watching Backyard Dogs.
To kick
The
off...
movie starring Hayabusa and, not anybody else.
Bree Turner.
There you go.
Yeah. I think
He's
she's
one of
the
the
only
Power
one
Rangers, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, I think... Well, I don't know. I think she's the only one that had moderate success after this movie. Due to this movie, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you get in a movie with Hayabusa and your star just rockets.
Good Lord. So, yeah, Backyard Dogs next week. And I think we'll probably have our guest back from our last wrestling movie, Ready to Rumble.
Yes, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a big fan of this film as well.
Who do you think I saw it with the first time I saw it?
Amazing.
Yeah.
So make sure you tune in for that next week. Also, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at WWTT Podcast. Find us on Facebook, What Were They Thinking? We're on all the podcatchers, of course. Podbean, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, Podknife, Human Sentai Pod, Teddy Ruxpin Appreciation Corner, ABC Family, Al Jazeera Network. Man, I got them all this time.
But not Disney.
Not Disney. ABC Family. You can catch us at 3:35 a.m. on the FXX network.
We're on in between, the first 6 episodes of The Simpsons and then the following 6 episodes of The Simpsons.
And then randomly an episode of Moesha.
Yeah.
But that's gonna do it. I guess gonna ask you now if you have any questions, or do you want me to ask you a question? It's up to you.
I think maybe I don't have really any questions. I mean, do you have any questions?
Well, I have one question for you.
Okay, well, go right. Yeah.
You chose Backyard Dogs. What were you thinking?
Hey everyone, it's Chris and Mike from The Recasting Couch, the podcast where we take our favorite movies and discuss what they would be like with new actors in all the lead roles. Hey Mike, tell them where they can find us on social media.
You can find our website at therecastingcouch.com or on Twitter at recastingpod. And of course, you can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Android, or anywhere else you find your favorite podcasts.
Yeah, if there's a service that's not posting our pod, you let us know and we will rectify that immediately.
Damn right.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Hi, I'm Jay Batts.
And I'm Michael.
And we're the hosts of a very thought-provoking show called The What If Podcast. On it, we'll explore the big
and little
what ifs of life and steer our listeners toward a better understanding of the
real or hypothetical
situations we might find ourselves in.
Or not. On our journey, we'll learn interesting facts and fictions about the everyday world. And sometimes,
most of the times,
we'll dive headlong into rabbit holes that slide up against the subject and sharply turn away from it.
Come along with us. We'll have fun and learn something new together. New episodes release every other Tuesday. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Music, and anywhere fine podcasts are archived.